We now continue with our discussion on applied corporate finance in Unit 1 and the principal objective that we had kind of established around the relationship between the firm and its stockholders, its bondholders, the financial markets, and the society. We're going to look at each of these relationships now and see examples or evidences of how things can essentially go wrong in any of these segments, right? So we're going to look at them one by one. We're going to look at stockholders and bondholders first, and see how firms sometimes go on a tangent in terms of what the interests of stockholders and bondholders are, and managers essentially try to maximize their payoff at the expense of some of these guys. Right? There is also an essential conflict between stockholders and bondholders themselves a lot of the times, and that essentially is what we will also address as we look at. Right? Now, ideally, the stockholders can control the managers in theory in two ways. So essentially, the first part is when you look at a manager, the manager can be controlled by the stock owner or stockholder via either something what is known as a board of directors. So there is a board of directors which is primarily comprised of or comprised of some of the top people in industry and not necessarily in the company. And this is kind of working on behalf of the shareholders. So the important context here is that it is working on behalf of the shareholders to ensure that the managers act in the best interest of the shareholders. Right? So that's the first way that ideally a stockholder can control the manager. The second way it can be controlled is that every year the company is supposed to do what is called as an annual general meeting, AGM. Now, during this particular meeting, the stockholders can act by using their voting rights to ensure that managers act in the best interest. Just for example, managers decide that they want to go ahead and do an acquisition, which may be not such a good an acquisition, right? They are saying that we want to do it, but the stockholders don't believe it is a good idea, right? Now, in this case, in the AGM, there would be a voting to figure out if this acquisition should go through. And it is fairly possible that the stockholders basically vote against such a proposal, and thereby the acquisition does not go through. So technically, the stockholders can manage the manager or control the managers such that they act in the best interest of the stockholders via any of these two methods. A board of directors, the primary function is a continuous oversight. The board of directors is supposed to meet many times during the year, right? Many times during the year. And their idea is that they discuss on variety of actions that the company is taking, such that any action that is detrimental to the shareholders on the whole can be taken care of, right? So that's the broad context of board of directors. But in reality, this may not work the way we want it to work. And why is that so? The first thing is that the board of directors, who are these guys, right? So if they are being nominated or picked by the management, right? And a lot of the times, remember, the management might be the same as the promoters of the company. If they are picked by the management, then it is likely that they will work in the best interest of the management. Or if at all there is a conflict that arises, they will not act in the best interest of the shareholders. They will just kind of sit idle and wait to see whatever happens. The second thing that doesn't happen is the stockholders can act during the AGM, but the problem is we all must have bought a stock at a various point of time, or may have seen people who have bought stocks at various points of time. But rarely does anyone actually go and attend an AGM, right? So all the small investors, which are also known as the minority investors or minority shareholders, right? The minority shareholders never attend a meeting, or let's put the word as rarely attend the AGM. So where is the question of voting in case